Waka waka.
There's only one guy in this world who can save us. Only one frog who can restore order.
Let's get out of here!
Bring justice and set things right.
You are talking about Kermit, right?
Muppets Most Wanted.
Sigma!
I am not Constantine.
Lights out! Turn them back on, I can't see anything.
To try and continue to maintain their popularity and relevancy after the events of the past film, Kermit and his jolly old gang of Muppets decide to headline a European tour.
But things get complicated when an infamous criminal called Constantine, who just so happens to look exactly like Kermit, does the old switcheroo and lands our green hero in prison.
Now it's only a matter of time before the Muppets rally together to expose Constantine and bring justice to their beloved green leader.
Muppets Most Wanted, unfortunately, falls into a trap that many sequels end up falling into. And that's the idea that one person who was a huge player in the creation of the original film is nowhere to be found for the sequel. Jason Segel, the star, producer, and most importantly, the writer of the first Muppets reboot in 2011, has nothing to do with the writing of Muppets Most Wanted. And it kinda shows.
It's obvious that Muppets Most Wanted was designed as the spiritual sibling to 1981's The Great Muppet Caper. I like that approach to a rebooted franchise, but at least that movie didn't spend so much of its time focusing on the villains, Constantine and Dominic Badgie, played by Ricky Gervais.
It also doesn't help that this plot is pretty repetitive. The Muppets get to a venue, the show goes hilariously awry as the villains steal something. Just throw in a new setting and you got a couple more scenes. I was just not engaged at all with this story. In fact, a solid amount of it felt like filler.
But when the plot does stop to fill up the running time with a collection of lyrics and harmonies, I honestly didn't mind it. Bret McKenzie returns to the series with a solid lineup of musical numbers. The songs are distinguished by the influences behind them, from Broadway legends Jim Jacobs and Warren Casey to 1970s folk superstar Paul Williams, who is no stranger to this franchise.
The orchestration in particular is especially fun and creative. I mean, it's hard not to have your toes tapping throughout nearly every song. It's a great mix of old and new, and honestly, every time a song came on the screen, I was immediately enveloped back into the film. They are easily the best moments of the film, and probably the film's best aspect in general.
The Muppets are all about the musical numbers, and Most Wanted had some. And I was having fun with a lot of them during the movie. But when I sat down to write this review, I realized that I didn't really remember any of them. They sadly all fall into the category of enjoyable, but not memorable. They're fun and upbeat, like I said, but they don't stick. They're just far too safe and standard.
Though it's not quality consistent at all, the humor, when it hits, is classic Muppet fare.
I got a solid handful of good laughs out of the movie, and these characters are undeniably colorful, creative, and entertaining to watch. Most Wanted doesn't go too far beyond that, though.
The humor only reaches that golden standard set by the series every once in a while. Most of the time you're just sitting in your seat waiting for that one joke to hit a home run, and often the ones that look like they could be end up disappointing upon execution.
I'm not saying the comedy is terrible. I mean, there are some genuinely good jokes in there. It just feels like half the time the comedy fails to stand up on its own 2 feet.
The jokes, while again hitting the mark a lot of the time, overall felt kind of generic. It was all standard fare. I actually predicted a lot of them.
And while some are funny on paper, a lot of the film's choices just go completely south. I mean, the unnecessary stereotyping, the graining accents, and even the obvious misunderstandings, even for a children's film, just don't really work.
The movie also fails to put these colorful characters in equally colorful situations, kind of wasting their potential. Both of these areas do offer a good amount of enjoyment. I don't want to make the movie seem unpleasant, but they do both seem to suffer from a lack of originality and passion.
Muppets Most Wanted isn't bad, but it's uninspired.
If someone else was put in the writer's chair, the film could have cemented itself as a standout sequel to a standout predecessor, but alas, it falls to sequelitis in the worst way. And I hate saying that because you should always judge a film as its own piece, and as its own piece, The Muppets Most Wanted does a decent job of continuing the Muppets franchise.
There are some good laughs, but overall it felt uninspired, average, and kind of soulless, which seems to be the opposite of what the Muppets are all about.
These characters, especially Kermit, mean a lot to me, which is why this movie is so frustrating. This isn't some obscure toy franchise or book adaptation, this is the Muppets! That's supposed to mean something. I just wish the filmmakers understood that.
Muppets Most Wanted receives a 6 out of 10.
The Muppets Most Wanted gets a 5.5 out of 10.
Muppets Most Wanted gets a 5 out of 10. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the review. Do you agree with us on Muppets Most Wanted? Let us know in the comments section. Also, like and subscribe. If you thought we're a bunch of hacks who don't know what they're talking about, please let us know. And also like and comment and subscribe, because that's very important. I mean, the only way you're going to get your point across is to make sure that you subscribe to us. Really, it hurts most of all. Be sure to check out RuleThirds.com for more fun.